Alright guys, this is going to be a pretty straightforward comparison to two very popular split ring pliers. I'm a fan of the Texas tackles. I see it brought up a lot on the internet message boards. Who makes the better split ring plier? Who makes the best? Lots of people love the Mustads. I'm more of a believer that anybody who recommends these hasn't used the Texas tackles. Unless you need the ability to cut braid or cut mono, if you're only using them to remove hooks and rings, there's just no comparison. And I'll show you real quick as to why and the range of rings that these two pliers can handle. Alrighty, so let's get started. Starting off, this is a Shimano Orca popper. Has some pretty heavy-duty hardware on it. Pretty thick diameter, hook shank diameter, and this is a Texas tackle, removing the belly hook. This is where they get kind of tricky at the end here. Not a problem at all. And again, that was the belly hook. That's a little trickier than removing the tail hook. And this is also the upper range in which I would ever use these pliers. So right now, right off the bat, you know, it spreads the ring fine. This is the KVD. It spreads it fine, but you gotta pull on it and turn it. And then if you want to grip it, see how it doesn't grip it all the way? It's only gripping that one leg, and it makes it kind of tricky. See, it's not really turning very easily. And see, it's since I'm not gripping it cleanly and securely, even evenly, it's kind of tricky to get that last little bit to go. And when I say I like these Texas tackles better than the KVDs, it's not because of heavy hardware like these. It's for the overall commonly used rings. I mean, the vast majority of the people aren't using tiny split ring pliers to remove tuna hardware. And if you look, let's see if I can get it close. If you could see the tip of that jaw, these are well worn. I've used these quite extensively. Same thing with the Texas tackles. You could see they're kind of scraped up and some of the finishes come off. I've used these on hundreds and hundreds of lures. So I'm not saying I like the Texas tackle because potato. I mean, there's reasons why I like it. Now, getting to a more manageable ring, just so happens to be on a 9.0 owner single. This is your Wolverine split ring. They're strong, but they're easy to open. So we'll see right here. Start with the Texas. Grab it on the belly. Done. And we'll put it right back on. And just, you know, please allow for the camera fudge factor when I'm doing this. You know, kind of have my arms out a little bit farther than I normally would. And going back in with the KVD, gotta pull it to get it past that thicker wire. And if I want to keep going like this, another big advantage being that wider gripping area on the Texas tackle makes it a little bit easier to spin it. Oops, that one kind of had the ring come off. Alright, now let's get it back on. With these Texas tackles, it's easier. I mean, these Wolverines, it's easier just to go by hand. And this is your run-of-the-mill 4X VMC. And you can see the KVDs work okay. They're not awful. They're just not as good. And these are very easy rings to work with. I mean, it doesn't get any easier. Now, those were fairly large. It's good with triple rings. These are pretty strong single loop, or double loop versus the triple loop. So, Texas tackle, easy peasy, and off the edge, easy enough. Open wide. Easy enough. Gotta pull on that ring a little bit. Easy enough. And you gotta be careful, you don't want to open it up too much because you don't want to deform the ring. Not too bad. Still easier. Now let's get to some of the smaller stuff. So now I can't get inside that ring without the risk of deforming it. Because if you go inside it, if you go inside the ring, you'll push that leg out, not spread it. See how if I go it's going to want to force that little leg out and not spread. Okay, forget it. Not even try to ruin that ring. It's not worth the time. And what you end up having to do is this little balancing act. Since you can't get the tip inside, you have to go from the left and right. Let me zoom in a little bit so it focuses a little bit better. So you gotta go like that. That's not too bad, as long as you can get it really quick, but then you're going like this. Now, let's get this back on. So since you can't really get a good, okay, maybe can I get a good focus? Okay. Almost, come on. Okay, now I have to go from the outside. Play a little balancing act. Come on, good. Now, bring in the Texas tackle. Done. And do it on the camera. Done. Go down to a little bit smaller ring. Let's do the belly. So the split is on the shank of the hook. I'm going to do this one a little bit backwards. And time to play the balancing act. Did I get it enough? It's like you almost got to be quiet because you got it just right on that edge and you don't want to make any loud noises and have it go back. Come on, we've all been there. Alright. And let's put her back on. Yeah, forget it. Am I proving my point? It's just so much easier with the Texas tackles. And you guys get the point. These are size 1 Valley Hills. Just getting it lined up. Sorry. These are the size 1 Valley Hills. I'm not getting it lined up using the pliers, not even using my hands to turn the ring to get it lined up. And boom. Ooh, package. That might be my new black hole blank. Now I'm going to start rushing. So now this is a little tiny. I mean, if you compare it to the single joint of my finger, it gives you an idea how small this little snacky is. They come with double hooks. All right. And they're razor sharp. I'm going to do that out of focus. Use the Texas tackle plier. Boom. No cursing when you jab your finger, because they're kind of difficult to pull. And with this, it's not convenient. And again, not many guys are using these kind of hooks on lures. I honestly don't much either, but just yet another example. But these, on the other hand, I use these all day long. And I immediately pull the hardware off and put a big number 2 single on this little tiny bait. And when I'm working with these number 1 rings, I mean, it's a pain. Whereas, like so, okay, I'm gonna swap out the ring. Perfect example, I use number 2 VMCs. 3 casts later, I hook up on something and I break the hook using 8-pound leader on 8-pound braid. Shows you how weak the VMC number 2 hook is. And you look, it's kind of a pain. Whereas with this, boom. And I use these a lot. I have quite a few of them. And when you lose them in the rivers or whatnot, you're always putting on new hooks, or, you know, when the hooks are getting beat up from, you know, hook points bending on rocks and whatnot. So you're always swapping hooks when you're using those kind of baits. So it's nice to be able to get it done real quick. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. I mean, I'm not saying that these are the greatest things in the world. There's freaking split ring pliers, but I see the question asked online enough. And I really just think that the people that prefer this, you know, or say it's the best thing, or when somebody asks, hey, what's the best? And people say this, it's because it's the only one that they've used. Either that, or they're coming from one of these old school ones that are, you know, teeter back and forth. They have loose jaws, the springs break on them. So they're like, oh wow, this is great. It's comfortable. It can cut braid. Which, again, the cutters on this are great. I mean, these are a year, 2 years old almost, with a lot of use, and I carry them. But when it comes to split rings, not a comparison. Between the range of their effectiveness I mean, these are size 1s or 0s. and they work fine. They have a smaller pair that are all silver, and they have a bigger pair, which are in my tunicate, but tunicate, that are designed to really handle the bigger stuff better. So if you're using these bigger rings, I don't suggest, unless you absolutely must, you go ahead and use KVDs or these Texas Tackle mediums, the orange handle ones. But they can do it if you need to. As far as Wolverines, if you guys, all the surf guys love the Wolverines because they're cheap and strong, they're really flexible wire, so it's really easy to spread these, and you're not going to damage the plier when you go about your business. And again, this is a 9.0 owner single hook. This is one of the thicker wire diameter hooks that you'll come across, and it handled it okay with these. If I used a stronger double loop ring instead of the triple, would I recommend using? Oh, absolutely not. I'd end up breaking these and twisting these in half. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it was clear and concise and to the point. It wasn't me playing favorites. It's not because I prefer one for no reason at all whatsoever. Fairly straightforward why I prefer the Texas Tackles over these. If you like that, click the like button. If you didn't, click the dislike button. I'm sure there's somebody out there. And, let me know what you guys thought. Until then, I have no idea. They're split ring pliers. I made a video about split ring pliers. I'm gonna go check the mail. Hopefully that was my blank. It's purple. I have a purple black hole.